Who's
what?
Discount? Who is Discount Kate Beckinsale?
Who
Yo,
is
Victor,
Kate
thank you, man.
Beckinsale?
Hey, Eric, can you pull up Victor's Instagram? It should be on the tab. Victor is one of our longtime supporters. I want to ask the girls, like, would you date this guy?
Let's see. Is this the guy who just said something rude?
Oh.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is check out his Instagram. Scroll up. You can scroll up a little bit. All right, Victor, can you pull up that first photo of him? No. Yo, did you see all these comments? That's from us. Yo, go to everyone in the chat. Pull up his Instagram and like I want you to put that emoji where there's like the fingernails and it's the nail polish.
The one that looks like this.
Yeah, the nail polish emoji. I want you to spam his comments with the nail polish emoji, guys. All right, sweet. Would you guys date him?
No.
No, huh? Because of what he said, or just because of his...
No, I mean, I'm not really attracted to him.
Oh. Rip. Sorry, Victor. Okay. Anybody else?
And also, he's
Shania,
rude.
are you down for him?
I'm good, but thank you.
What the? All right.
Did he ever go on that, or did he ever keep?
He doesn't
talking
like
to
my
that one
gap,
girl?
so.
The what?
Did he ever keep talking to what's her face?
Oh, I don't.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I wanted to touch on when you guys said equality, because I think that's an interesting word to use. And I want to preface this by saying I believe we have the same rights under the eyes of God in America, and I will always fight for that. But I don't think men and women are equal. I don't think you can compare men and women. I think they're intrinsically different. And so that's my problem with feminism. While they degrade men, they also are trying to make women more like men. And women are special and unique in our own ways, and femininity is special. And I think that there's a lot of things that women should aim for that's different than men. And I think we should embrace that we're unique and different. And I think a lot of feminism has brought out the worst qualities in men and are trying to make women follow those qualities, especially when it comes to hookup culture.
But how do you feel about like the alpha male culture, like the new culture with like Andrew Tate and all them?
I think that's a complete like rebellion to feminism, that you're producing kind of this hyper masculine culture. And there's some parts that, you know, I agree. I think we need more masculinity in the US. I think men have been degraded in this country, and I think they've been torn down, and I think they're told that masculinity is toxic. Masculinity is not toxic. Masculinity is the most important thing to make a country.
But there is toxic masculinity traits.
There's bad traits that men have that are not good, but I think women enable that. When we have a culture where you sleep around with guys, you enable toxic masculinity. You enable guys to take advantage of your body and use you as like a credit card for sex rather than making that man work for you. So I think it's like, what I find funny is that feminism brings out that so-called toxic masculinity, and we allow like the quote unquote, I hate using this word, but like really the patriarchy to take advantage of us and use our bodies, and instead of work for us, build a family with us and treat us with respect and dignity.
I can hear and understand what you're saying completely, but I also think it's important, while acknowledging the pitfalls of feminism in areas where it may be, you know, harmful and degrade men, to also recognize where feminism has been necessary and fundamental for women's survival and safety.
Sure, in 1950s, but it's gone too far.
Look at violence rates. Like, if you look at violence rates, you know, majority of crimes, violent crimes are committed by men. Like, that's a true statistic. And when we're thinking about violence, for example, you know, there's no liberty there. There's no freedom. If somebody's threatening your life, then, and obviously women commit violent crimes too, but, you know, if we're looking at the statistics, men do commit more violent crimes than women. And so when somebody is having a violent crime being committed against them, there is no liberty there. There is no freedom. And if we look at the roots of even marriage, men were permitted to beat their wives. So it is still part of our history.
Fake
and
news.
Feminism.
But those are laws that have been
Erroneous.
overturned. And I'll say this, the whole hookup culture allows women to become victims of sexual violence and abuse. It's not safe for a woman to meet a man at a bar and go home with him. Someone she doesn't know, someone her friends don't know. You put yourself in a very, very risky situation doing that. But instead, feminism, instead of talking about that, how that is a huge cause of sexual violence, they're encouraging women to do that. They're saying, go be like a man, go have sex with a random guy. And women, just biologically, we have more implications when we have sex with a guy. We could become pregnant. we put ourselves at risk for sexual abuse and violence. And like we talked about earlier, women become more attached to men. So I think it actually leads a lot of women to depression when they're engaging in this meaningless hookup culture.
But I don't think the feminism or our feminist is them saying, oh, go fuck everybody. I don't think that's what it's about.
Well, that's a sexual revolution. It was, we should be like men. And
maybe that's the radical.
But women are
exposed to be shamed for their bodies, which...
If women go to meet men at a bar or they go on a walk in their neighborhood in the morning, they're still vulnerable to being, violently attacked.
Men are more likely to be victims of violent crime. So just because you feel more vulnerable doesn't actually mean you are.
But walking on a street, you're way less likely to be harmed by a violent crime than going home with a man from a bar that you don't know and going to his bedroom, and you could easily...
We're definitely not saying, do that. That's not.
Well, I think that's part of the sexual revolution. It's encouraging women to do what they want with their bodies, and as long as it's two consenting individuals, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there's something completely wrong with using sex like transactional.
No, yeah, I agree. I think you should only be having sex with someone that you fully know you want to maybe be with or commit to. I'm not saying to just go have sex with anybody. I don't do that. I don't have sex on the first date with anybody, or even the second or third, you know what I mean, or fourth,
which I think is good. But that's a sexual revolution.
Though, yeah.
But sex is also a power women have that has been stripped from them for generations.
Wait, what?
But how is it empowering to have sex with a guy that uses your body and then discards you like you're nothing?
That might not be empowering to you, and maybe the way that you're wording, but to some women, having casual sex might be empowering to them. And who am I to say that it's not, if it maybe has been fundamental on their life journey, if it's taught them about what they want in relationships? Who are we to say and discard her experiences?
I mean, I think we are to say that that's a bad cultural trend that doesn't lead women towards success, happiness. I think it leads women towards depression. I already mentioned, I think it puts women at risky situations, and I think it enables toxic masculinity, quote unquote, and the patriarchy. You're allowing men to just use your body.
But I would say we shame women and say, you're a slut, or I don't want to say that, but you're doing that, it's bad. But then men, it's they say, go have 20 women, go do this, do that, and then half the time they don't even be wearing protection, and then they're the ones who are giving the STDs.
I completely disagree with men being promiscuous as well, but there is just the reality that women can fall pregnant. Men can't. There's a way bigger risk as a woman. You are biologically, we're smaller than men. We're at a risk when we engage in casual sex that men don't have that same risk. And I completely disagree with men being promiscuous as well, but I think for women, it's even more important we protect our own bodies.
But I think we should be shaming men as well for doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would shame any guy
that
goes out and...
But I'm saying we're shaming women for doing that. It's we should be shaming men as well. You know what I mean? It's people are hyping men up to do this, but if a woman is with a guy, or how you're in high school or whatever, right? And then a girl gets caught with a guy or something, everyone's ew, she's a whore, da 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 da. But then the guy doesn't, everyone's praising him.
I think we should encourage a culture where people there's a sacred element to sex between two people who love each other and are committed to each other. And like I said, I don't think we should degrade that. And I agree with you that I don't think we should be encouraging anybody to be promiscuous, men or women. Mm-hmm. But there's a certain risk that women incur that's more than men, which is why I think throughout history there's more of a societal stigma.
I mean, there's still a risk for men with getting STDs, and half the time they aren't using protection.
And there's a risk for men where if you're in a room alone with a woman you don't know and she claims that you raped her,
bro,
and he may have not, but that's also a risk that men incur as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and vice versa.
Yeah, the whole situation I just think is so toxic and horrible for our society.
It is. And also if you think about it, then the man will have a kid with a woman that he doesn't know and then leaves, and then now that baby is growing up with mental issues, baby daddy issues, trauma, which is that's a big problem exactly.
It's a big problem. What I kind of dabbled into in my little feminist ways has been the abortion industrial complex, and how that's really disproportionately affected women, because basically we are telling men that
black women specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That you can just fuck me. It does not matter. Yeah. Because I can go tomorrow and get an abortion. Okay. And that I'm not saying that I disagree with abortion necessarily, but I'm saying that it's something to think about. We are allowing men to just say, yeah, no, it's cool. Like, I'll just go get it fixed. And then you're left with the emotional trauma and the pain from having that abortion.
Gives them the validation to do that more.
They don't have to go
it
to a
again.
clinic and do that. The emotional trauma, I'm very pro-life because I believe it's such a horrible thing for a woman to kill her own child. I think it's against nature. I think it's against every single thing inside of a woman.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important that sex is sacred, because there are those implications that men do not have. And as women, we should be holding men to a higher standard instead of lowering ourselves to theirs.
Yeah.
We should be leading on that.
But it's also important to acknowledge where is the man's responsibility. And I think that's what when we're talking about feminism, as of course can agree with you that there are ways that people can take it to an extreme that's harmful for men. You have to acknowledge the flip side and acknowledge where are men not showing up in that regard and not taking care of women in that regard. Like,
Completely.
we're both the wounder and the wounded.
I think
Thank you,
women have
AB
allowed
Check.
that.
Go ahead.
I think women have allowed men to take advantage of us through feminism, and I think it's, like I said, it's brought out the worst of men instead of the best.
Put under this guise of like, oh, I'm empowered because I can make the decision to go and do this. But are you really empowered if he's just coming in you and then saying bye-bye?
Using your body.
Yeah, and just using your body.
I don't know
for
if that's
fun.
a feminist.
But it's also it's a complicated.
It's a product
But
of feminism. That's
the
the
sexual
problem.
revolution.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't really
that
know much about
women should be like men,
Yes.
and men throughout history have slept around.
I figured that the sexual revolution was
Wait,
like the
hold on.
popularization
Men throughout
of
history have slept
sex
around.
and media.
More than
That's
women,
part
I
of
would
it.
say in
It's like
general.
it's all over
definitely
TV,
part of
it's
it.
in
It
every
happened in
TV
the 60s
show.
and then it's happening now too as well, I would argue.
I guess it's like sex is like media. That's what I always
But
figured.
women, like we talked about earlier, women have different experiences with sex than men do. And like I said, we should bring men to that same level, and it should be a sacred bond.
I agree.
Okay.
Oh, are you,
Point proven. That was really
I thought you
good,
guys
by the
wanted
way.
to talk more about abortion or some shit.
We can talk a little more. I mean,
Now we're getting political.
I mean,
here.
like,
We're getting super
regardless
political.
of like
I don't
your
know if it's
anyone's
the right of
personal
anyone
beliefs.
to stop it.
Yeah.
Well, personally,
Oh, am I
I
gonna
feel
do
like
it? No.
a lot of like the mental issues and things that go on in society nowadays stem from how you're raised. And if you're not raised, like you said, like with like a 2-parent household, right? Which is a man is just having sex with any girl, right? And then coming in 10 girls or whatever, getting them pregnant and not being there for them and not being a good dad. Those kids are going to grow up without a dad or even without a mom.
It's
of course
horrible.
that happens, but it's mainly the man that
The
walks
breakdown
away.
of the nuclear family has been one of the worst things for America.
Yeah.